Cat. Precious metals prepping. So, as you can see from the graph that I'm putting up now, over the last 100 years, gold has been a dreadful investment and a dreadful hedge against inflation. The only time it ever really approached higher levels than what it had been when we were on the gold standard, which is an entirely different thing, and we're not ever going back to that in today's society, was during the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. Now you'll see a lot of charts like this. This is to convince people that the next gold bull market or the next silver bull market is about to hit, and they'll use lots of scientific language and give you data reports and all the rest of it. But the truth of it is that in 2018 the value of gold is not as high as people would like it to be who've bought it at lower rates. And I think a lot of the boom, a lot of the increase in gold is actually caused by speculation. And as a prepper, I avoid speculation. Speculation in precious metals, speculation in who will win the Super Bowl, speculation in stock markets. You might be a winner, but it's gambling. You shouldn't be using precious metals to gamble. Unless you have so much money, it doesn't matter. As you can see from this graph on the price of silver, adjusted for inflation, remember this is supposed to be a hedge against inflation, in both dollar and British pounds, there is absolutely no way that you could ever say that gold or silver are an investment. If you were able to sell a lot of gold and silver on the 2nd of January 1980, after the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan and we all thought we were going to have World War III, you'd have made an absolute stunning fortune. Then what would you have done with the money on the 3rd of January if the bombs had dropped on the 2nd? It's an interesting question. This also goes into another topic that is perennial in prepper fiction. Catastrophe happens, time goes by, the United States government decides to give people 5 or 10% of the value of their stocks that they held just before the war or whatever it was in gold. No chance. If society has fallen and the United States government is able to stay in position or is regaining position of power, they're not going to give you gold based upon the value of stocks in companies that no longer exist. Nice thought, never going to happen. Again, that's the inability to people to say, without gold, without silver, without stocks, without cash, I don't know what to do. I won't have any power. I need to retain economic power that I have now before the catastrophe, and this is a way of doing it. I don't think that's the way you should look at it. Gold and silver has a very specific purpose. They're gifts, they're attractive, and you can argue they're a hedge against inflation, but there's other ways of doing that. What they are, in quantity. In quantities of $200 to $300 worth, this might get you on a boat, might get you in somebody's car, might, if you need to flee with nothing. I would argue as a prepper you shouldn't be fleeing with nothing, but you never know, which is why I collected them. Now the Canadian Mint no longer does $20 cost for a $20 face value silver coin. Unfortunately, the speculators figured out this one out. Even they can only buy 5 coins at a time. What happened was they bought them, and as soon as the market for silver dropped, because they bought them because they were told by websites silver was going to go through the roof, they sold them back at face value. Because it's face value coin, you can take it back to the bank and say, return to the Canadian bank and I want my $20. Now I'm not sure if that's exactly how you do it, because I would never do that. I didn't buy these ever to use or ever to return to try and make money off them. I bought these because I think they're beautiful. They were reasonably entry priced, and I like to send these occasionally off to England to my nephew and nieces, and occasionally the odd giveaway prize online. So yeah, that's what I think about precious metals. I don't think precious metals have any place in prepping. The only place they have in prepping is if your preps have failed, your intel's failed, everything's gone bad and you have nothing else to offer somebody other than a bunch of gold or silver, or maybe jewellery. Jewellery doesn't really have much value, it's hard to actually use that, but a coin works better than jewellery, to actually help you flee the area you're in to try and get somewhere else. And maybe then you use this to restart a life to some degree. But to carry enough gold and silver in today's age to make a major difference on your person in a fleeing scenario is going to be pretty tough. Pretty tough indeed. I'm not saying that a bar or two of gold might not be a smart investment, but I prefer small chips of gold, because I see this more as a one-to-one interaction rather than trying to deposit this in the Bank of Australia to start my wallaby farm after the Ice Age has covered North America and Europe in ice sheets. I'm not really sure it's going to work that well. Anyway, what do you guys think? Do you think that it is worth investing in gold and silver as a prepper? And if so, why? I'd really like to know. Like I say, I have some. It's not I don't think you should have none. I just don't think you need to have any. And I think if you have it, you should be honest with yourself and say you do it because you like to have bits of shiny in your hands to gloat over in the darkest of nights. So anyway, from the darkest of nights, gloating over my shiny, this is Hoople's cat saying, have a great night. Bye.